Well, good morning.
Good morning.
Oh, you can do better than that. Good morning.
Good morning.
I can't think of anything better that I could do right now, just being alive and being here. And I'm with coalition people. That's awesome. The work that we do as a coalition is very, very important. I'm often asked, what does a coalition do? And so I'm going to create a visual for you that I use to describe the work. If you can imagine the field of substance abuse as a pipeline, right? We've got this pipe here. At the front end of the pipeline is prevention. Just inside the pipeline is harm reduction. Then you have the center of the pipeline where there are various struggling with addictions, various addictions and substances. And then you have intervention, treatment, recovery, and aftercare. That is the spectrum. That's the pipeline. So our role as people in prevention is to take our evidence-based work and, as we work effectively, constrict and close that hole as best we can of that pipeline so that people aren't getting in. And so it's very important the work that we do. So I'm very pleased to see so many here. The other thing that's important about a coalition is that we need to assess our community and see what are the threats. And we, as Summit County, we did that 3-4 years ago and found marijuana, opiate/heroin, and powdered alcohol as a threat. Who's heard of powdered alcohol before? Raise your hand. Okay, that's good. About half of you. Okay, and so just to show you how we as coalitions, we need to scour the national landscape for information and then look statewide and then apply it to our coalition, our county, our customers. And that's how we're able to effectively work. So we've done that with marijuana. I'm here to talk about the impact of Ohio's marijuana medical legislation. Certainly I will talk about that, but I do want to mention that I had the good fortune, I guess you could say that, of going to the first ever National Cannabis Summit in Denver, Colorado last year, and it was very eye-opening what I saw. First of all, when you think of a cannabis summit, a whole lot of thoughts was conjured up in my mind. I wasn't sure if people were going to be wrestling in the aisles or what, you know. I was able to convince our mayor to send the deputy mayor of safety with me to go. And we were both wondering, he was a former police officer, so we were both wondering what it was going to be like. And what we found out was very informative. And we were able to find out that no matter what side of the fence you sit on, as far as legalization or use of marijuana, and we had people, national researchers, international researchers, business people, it was really a diverse group of people that attended. But what I came away with is the fact that everyone could get on board and say, we want our young people safe. Okay? So, with that in mind, I want you to look through, as we go through these slides, look through that lens of how we keep our community safe, particularly our young people. Back in the day, there was a saying, they said, our young people are our future. But no, they're our today. Because if we don't take care of them today, our future is not going to be the future that we want. That's for sure. Okay, so, the impact of medical marijuana. See if I can get these slides right. All right, first of all, there's a timeline. We needed to understand that in this timeline, there was House Bill 523 was passed in the spring of 2006, late spring of 2016, and became effective, okay, September 8th. Then we had November 1st, where the first Medical Marijuana Advisory Committee meeting happened. Okay, they were established, and so their responsibility is to advise the three main entities that oversee this initiative. May 6th, there were cultivator rules were adopted. We're going to have cultivators throughout the state. Got to be run by guidelines, and so they were set. September 8th of 2017, all other rules were adopted for our state program. September 8th of this year did not happen. It was the date, September 8th of this year, that the program was going to roll out and go live, and it didn't happen. Everything is not in place. They're still working to get things in place, but they're not in place as of yet. I was hearing before the end of the year, now I'm hearing sometime before the first of the year. We'll talk about where you can go to track that before I sit down. And then October 8th of 2021, the Medical Marijuana Advisory Committee will secede. It will go away. All right, you'll see why that's a concern to me. All right, so who's responsible for this program? Well, there are three groups that have taken leadership and have been selected to oversee this. The Department of Commerce, and they oversee the cultivators, those who grow, the processors, and the testing laboratories to make sure the product is what it's supposed to be. The Board of Pharmacy, all right? They oversee the dispensaries, the patient and caregivers, and new forms and methods of medical marijuana. There, as nuances of this program of marijuana emerges, they will decide if they will incorporate it into the program or not. And then the medical board, which will certify physicians and new qualifying conditions. So they're trying to remain flexible as this program goes on. Okay, let's look at each one of these entities closer. The Department of Commerce, okay? And the Department of Commerce, their role, and I'm just going to hit the highlights here because we don't have, I want to stay on schedule here. But their highlights is they will deal with licensing of the cultivators, processors, and the testing laboratories through the state of Ohio. Also, they're responsible for developing the rules for administration of the program, as well as establish enforcement and compliance measures with licensure requirements. One thing to keep in mind with the Department of Commerce, this is not going to be a cash business like in Colorado and some of the other states that you hear so much about. The purchase will have to be done online. Unless they change that, it will be online, so it won't be cash being exchanged. And so that's why it makes sense for the Department of Commerce to oversee that administrative piece. Okay, next, the Board of Pharmacy. And they're responsible for rules relating to registration of the patients and caregivers, retail dispensaries, forms and methods of medical marijuana, including the 90-day supply. In your handout, there's some charts. I don't want you to flip forward just yet, but there are some charts in there. We'll talk about the details of that. But that's what they oversee. And down below, they will only allow these forms of marijuana oils, tinctures, plant material, edibles, and patches. Who can tell me what plant matter is? I don't know either. Is it ground up marijuana? What is it? Okay. So I want to say that keep in mind this is a framework, and those are the kinds of things that are going to need to be fleshed out. When I think of plant matter, I think of is it, like I said, ground up marijuana that you can put in a vaporizer or something, vapor pen or whatever. What is it? Well, we'll talk about that later. Edibles, very important piece. What kind of edibles? Okay, but these are the approved forms. What's not approved is forms and methods considered attractive to children. So the marketing cannot be cartoon characters or superheroes, that type of thing. I don't know if you guys remember Buddy. Who remembers Buddy? How could you forget Buddy? He was the superhero that was going around the state when marijuana was on the ballot. He came to Kent State. He came to Akron. I saw him at Akron U. He had an ass, he had a cave. His head was like a bud. Okay, that's not what you'll be able to use with advertising here. There's not to be any kind of advertising or promoting to attract children. All right. Also, it says forms that require smoking or combustion. Okay? If you can use a vaporizer or vapor pen, is that or is that not smoking is what I wonder. But these are details and things that need to be worked through. Okay. Sorry about that. Going back on the slides. Next, we want to talk about allowable THC content. You've heard the phrase, "This is not your grandfather's or grandmother's marijuana." Okay. THC content back in the 70s during the love generation was probably 4-5%. City of Akron has said that what they're finding is about 15%. Colorado is running around 50%, a little over 50%. So there's varying amounts of THC. That's going to be controlled by this. This chart tells you can refer to it. Plant material, 8 ounces for a 90-day supply. That's 23% THC. So tier 1, tier 2, 23% THC tells you the amount that you can have. Oils and vaporizing, 53.1% grams of THC. So it gives you got edibles, 9.9 grams of THC. So it tells you what is allowable, and that's what's going to be policed. Okay. Okay, and then we have that third entity, the state medical board. All right, and the state medical board, they're recommending versus prescribing. So you won't be able to get a prescription for it. We all know that. I'm sure you've heard that. You'll be recommended, and you'll have to go to a doctor that has had training. There's a certificate that a doctor will have to take additional training for. I believe it's 2 hours of training, and then they will be certified to see patients and recommend medical marijuana. There's an online application slated spring of 2018. I'm not sure if that has happened. The completion, there was a problem getting enough doctors to sign on for the 2 hours of training. At one point earlier this year, I heard that there was only one doctor that had signed on. It was Southwest Ohio, down the Portsmouth area. I hear more recently that there are 2 that are available in Summit County. But that's something that you can take a look at and check as this thing moves forward. Talks about conditions and schedules of procedures. The medical board is going to oversee the doctors and what they do, and minimal standards of caregiving they will also oversee that. Okay, so you can't take medical marijuana for everything, at least not legally. You can take it for these items that are listed, and these alone. Okay, it is what it is. All right, you'll need a medical marijuana card. Okay, that card, when you go to the doctor and get your referral, and you communicate through the state, you'll be given a medical marijuana card. You'll also need a type of a state ID card, is what I was told as well. And those 2 cards will give you the access to being able to pick up your meds, marijuana, as you need. Cards must be presented at that time of purchasing the marijuana. And remember, I said at this point, and it could change, marijuana purchase was going to be online. And then you would actually go into your dispensary and pick up what you need. Okay, here's something that's very important when you think about marijuana, and this is something that we must keep in mind, is that it's still our employers are still vetting their employees. There's still pre-employment testing, and you're not able, if you can't pass a pre-employment test, you will not be able to work. That's the position most employers are taking. And there are provisions in this bill, in House Bill 523, to allow the employers to continue to hold that position. Okay? At this point, it's a fairly strong position. How many have heard about the lawsuit, DirecTV in Colorado, that happened a number of years ago? And there was a gentleman that worked for DirecTV, and he had his medical, he was able to use marijuana medically, and he was fired by DirecTV. I don't know all the details. I can only imagine a guy, if you need to climb poles or do things that were somewhat, could be hazardous if you're impaired, and so maybe DirecTV's position was, that's not good, but they let him go. And he sued them, and it went all the way to the Supreme Court, and it was upheld. So that's been the strength to employers. However, that may not always be, because there have been 2 cases earlier this year that came up, one in Massachusetts and one in Connecticut, and those individuals locally were fired, and they won their local cases, and so I think it's going through the appeal process, but that is some movement. So employers need to understand and know that this is an important subject and they need to be on it. House Bill 523, just to run through these, requires an employer to permit or accommodate. It does not require them to permit or accommodate an employee. It prohibits an employee from refusing. It prohibits an employer from refusing to hire, discharging or disciplining, or otherwise taking an adverse employment action because of that person's use, possession, or distribution of medical marijuana. The bill allows them to do that, as I said. They have the power right now, but they will not keep it if these laws go through, these cases go through and are not upheld. Employer action. This is something that's very important. Employers need to, it's a different world now, they need to connect with or have in their HR the capacity to access information and keep themselves safe in their policies and procedures. They need an attorney that specializes in this, or access to an attorney, a consultant, a policy consultant, and they need to shape their policies accordingly. It's time to review those policies so that they stay out of harm's way. They need to determine through their policies how their business is going to treat medical marijuana. They need to review their handbook and policies and update them to specifically address that, communicate that openly and clearly with their employees. They need to educate employees and managers on what to look for if someone is impaired. Okay, that comes under drug-free workplace. That with drug-free workplace, the Bureau of Workers' Compensation, they have a drug-free workplace program. And if a business signs into that and reworks their policies and procedures to accommodate and address this subject, as well as has a 1-hour employee training and 2-hour supervisor training every year, not only will they protect themselves, but they will also get a discount on their premium. So it's a cost-saving measure for a business to do that. They need to contact their insurers to find out what's happening. There are a lot of things with that have not been talked about and looked at with this whole medical marijuana in the workforce. One thing is what happens if you have more insurance claims through health insurance. That's going to drive up premium. Okay, so that means the cost of premiums to the employees, shared costs, and cost of the employer could be higher. These are things that need to be talked about and considered by employers. And then also what happens in the workplace if an employee is injured. Of course, if you have employees under the Department of DOT, Department of Transportation, there's stringent rules that they go by. But if they're not, employees do not come under DOT guidelines, then those are areas in which an employer needs to have policies and procedures in place, and the biggest thing is to communicate with employees. Okay, here's something also to keep in mind. Municipalities and townships do not have to say that marijuana is okay in their community. They actually could vote their township thrive. The township that I happen to live in, they voted thrive. A gentleman, a businessman came in, there's a number of farms in the community, and a businessman came in and wanted to purchase one of the farms on one of the, well, it was a street that had a yellow line up the middle. Does that make it a main street? It was on a main street for this community, and they got nervous. And so their city council said, voted dry, and said, no marijuana here, no dispensaries, we don't want cultivation sites, no processes, nothing. So that is a right of a municipality. On the other side of the spectrum, the city of Akron. The mayor dispatched the law department to do research throughout the country, through the other communities similar to Akron, and find out what was that, those communities that had legalized some form of marijuana, find out what was going on there. And then he dispatched them to write a very stringent program, which city council approved. At least they believe it's stringent. We don't know what we don't know. Once it's instituted, we may find out that there are gaps and we need to close them. But that's what they did, and they have been very proactive and aggressive in saying, okay, we're going to allow it, and there are going to be 3 grow sites there, cultivation sites there, and I believe they have 2 dispensaries that will be there, at least last check. There'll be 2 dispensaries there, and they're very aggressive in pushing the zoning department on where they're going to be located. So that's another way to look at it. But municipalities and townships do have, and cities, everybody has a right to decide what they want to do. Okay, so the effect on workers' compensation, there's another area where this could be of interest. Maintains a status quo as far as how marijuana, medical, or otherwise is treated under Ohio workers' compensation law. This is kind of what I was alluding to earlier. Drug testing policies under VWC drug-free workplace programs will remain valid up to this point. The rebuttable presumption that an employee is ineligible for workers' compensation benefits if the employee, when under the influence of medical marijuana, causes his or her own workplace injury, remains valid. So if an employee has, let's say an employee has a medical marijuana card, and they are using medical marijuana and they're injured at work, they will not get workers' compensation claims. They will not be able to file one. There's no help for them under that. That's what makes following these court cases that in Massachusetts and Connecticut and others, as they proceed and go up through the ranks, because right now, because of Supreme Court and DirecTV, it's sound, it may not always stay that way, which could affect us moving forward. Okay. Note about the federal. Marijuana is still illegal under federal law. It still is. The Sixth Circuit Court of Appeals covering Ohio, Pennsylvania, Kentucky, Michigan, and Tennessee has consistently upheld a private employer's ability to enforce workplace policies and take adverse employment actions against individuals with medical marijuana cards. So strength is there to the employer for now. Just trying to keep it real. Okay, the effect on Portage County. So there's one level 2 cultivation license issued. That's who they are, or as they say, that's who they be. 202 physicians in Portage County hold the CTR license. So there's plenty of physicians that individuals will be able to go to. I want to mention though, you can't just go to a doctor, like out in California, you can't just roll up at a doctor's office that has a neon green leaf in the window and say, "Yo, doc, I got this back pain, can you help me out?" He asks you questions, you leave with a card, walk down the street to the dispensary, and sign a waiver saying, I'll bring their own plants in and care for them, or sign a waiver, allow them to grow the plants for you. It won't be like that. The doctor will have to have a patient-doctor relationship with that individual. Okay? So you can't, that's not random. So that's one thing that's good about our law that's different than the other states. Okay, important reminders. Medical marijuana should be locked away at all times. We should know that from our opiate problem. All medicines need to be locked away in a safe place. And that doesn't mean sticking it in the left rear corner of your pajama drawer. Okay, that means locking it away and keeping it safe. Do not drive after consuming medical marijuana. Use medical marijuana in public, it's illegal. Medical marijuana cannot be smoked in Ohio. Employers do not have to accommodate the use. Those all sound good, and I like that they're there. Enforcement is another thing. We'll have to look at that and see how that happens and what punishments there may be for violating these laws. Okay, important cautions. Numerous studies show impact of marijuana and mental health, including psychosis, anxiety, and earlier onset of schizophrenia. Something to note. The youth brain does not fully develop until 25. The impact of medical marijuana on youth brain is not known. Numerous studies indicate loss of motivation and reduce school successes and reduces IQ with persistent marijuana use. I think that it's very important that as a coalition, we follow very closely and look for opportunities to talk about marijuana being released as a Schedule I. This is my opinion, our position, and that it be studied. Let's study and let's find out. One of the main things that came out of the summit in Denver, it's going to happen. These states are falling like a deck of cards, one after another, okay, in some way, shape, or form. It's happening. And so for us to dig our heels in and say, no, it's not happening. It's not. It's going to happen. So let's put ourselves in the best position possible. And more importantly, let's, as coalitions, require and demand that those entities that are involved, they remain nimble. They remain vigilant in their research and study of what is happening and stay on top of it. And if it's not what we want, let's put in place the procedures, changes, laws, whatever it takes to wipe out those gaps in the program that's allowing it to run in ways that we feel is unsafe or unhealthy for our youth and our community. I think we need to have a specific initiative to reach out to youth. And I think we need to not come as talking heads, but we need to come as open the door and have dialogue and say, what do you think? What do you see? What are you saying? And find out from them. We need to be able to communicate on their level. And most of the time that means slugging it out with a small group of young people, getting on the same page, and then sending them out with that information to share with their peers. Because they listen to themselves and each other, oftentimes, more than they listen to us, especially if something they really want to do. Then a peer's voice is carries more weight than our voice. Okay? All right. I want to give a special thank you to the Ohio Medical Commission, and I want to talk for a minute on just some resources. I believe in giving people, first of all, as coalition, we know this is not a standalone event, correct? It's not. Information is given out, and you're going to have marching orders to leave here and continue to work and do prevention work. All right? So this is not a standalone event. Let's be clear on that. You've got a responsibility. So here's my first charge. Number one, not only with the presentation I've given you, but with what you hear today, I want you to pay attention, number one, and prioritize the top 3 things that are important to you and that touch and pull on your heartstrings, and your professional role. And then I want you to, of those three, I want you to prioritize, say, what's the main one? And I want you to make it a point to say, if nothing else, I'm going to take that one priority, and I'm going to do everything within my power moving forward to make it happen. Okay? All right, so Ohio Medical Marijuana Commission, you can go to their website, and it's called medicalmarijuana.ohio.gov. And you can get information on what's happening with our state control program. If you put your email in there, they'll send you email updates. All right? So now I'm giving you another thing to do. All right, next, I want you to, who knows is familiar with OSAM? Oh my. Wow. Okay, OSAM is Ohio Substance Abuse Monitoring. All right, it's a state site, and what they do is they have people throughout the state that gather information on what's happening with all illegal drugs. So if you Google OSAM, it will come up, Ohio Substance Abuse Monitoring System. And they produce a 6-month report. It's probably an inch thick. It takes the state and divides it into regions. And then you look at your region, and it has multiple states. And you guys are in the same state with Summit County. So when you go into your region, you open up the summary for your region. You can roll to your particular county, and it will tell you every illegal drug, from Molly to marijuana to heroin. It will give you a narrative of what has been happening, and then it will tell you how. It has a chart that tells you how available the drug is in its different quantities, like marijuana that's high THC content versus low THC content. It breaks it down that way. All right, it's a phenomenal tool. Now it comes out every 6 months, so it's kind of behind, but you can see what's happening for, like now, here we are in October. The most current report is January through June. So that's a little behind. However, if you sign in with email, they will send you updates. So you can track and find out what's going on with every significant drug, every illegal drug. So you want to go to OSAM. All right? Also, I want to thank the Ohio Chamber of Commerce, because they also have a PowerPoint that you can draw down public information for those of you who are interested in what's happening in the business community, and you get information there. And then also Ohio Association of County Behavioral Health Authorities, OACPA, they also have a information that you can get. And what we wanted to include, but if you go to the Summit County Community Partnerships website, you'll be able to take a look at, or go to OACPA's website, actually it's better. There's a document in there, where is it? Very colorful document, and it talks about medical marijuana in Ohio, things you need to know. And then when you flip it over on the back, it actually tells you, talks to you about, you can get information on the physicians group, about the medical marijuana card, dispensaries. It's got great information in there. So that's another tool you can use. The Bureau of Workers' Compensation also has an item called medical marijuana and the impact on BWC. These are all resources that are available to you. If you just go to our website, we are also putting information on the website constantly based on what we hear when we're out and about. So at this point, if I could, I'd like to open up for questions if I have some time. Couple minutes, couple questions. Yes?
As of yesterday, there is consideration that municipalities, cities cannot make their own rules about marijuana. At this point, they haven't filed a lawsuit, but it's an Ohio piece that came out, I think, the Attorney General's office, as of yesterday.
Okay, great. Did everybody hear that out of the Surgeon General's office yesterday? Don't you love this field? It's dynamic, things are happening even as you breathe. And it's challenging. There hasn't been litigation found yet, but it's challenging whether local municipalities can make a ruling and ban medical marijuana in the case of Ohio. Okay, great point. Anybody else? Yes.
On the OSAM, you said that it's only updated every 6 months, so how drastic of a change is there between 6 months ago and now?
That's a good question. It just kind of depends on the drug. If you look at it, if you go to OSAM, you'll see it just depends on the drug. Sometimes it's subtle changes, sometimes it's dramatic. It can be dramatic from 1 6-month period to another, and then they send the opt-outs with updates to your website, to your email if there's something dramatic happening. But that's a great tool, and it's very detailed. You know what I like about OSAM is that they're getting reports from the people out in the streets. Back in the day, they actually told me that they would there'd be a guy laying in an alley getting ready to shoot up, and they would stop and talk to him and get information and try and corroborate that. I mean, they are boots on the ground. All right, so that's a phenomenal resource. One last question.
I was going to say about on the OSAM, there's a thing called OSAMograms.
Yes.
That are the rapid response updates that you're talking about. If there's something going on in a particular area, that organization, I used to be part of that organization, so they put these things out much more frequently than the biennial than the biannual thing where it's 6 months. So if something's happening in northwest Ohio, there's something that's a new thing, a new drug or something like that, they will put out those rapid response things that you can access through OSAM.
Thank you very much. My friends got my back. Thank you so much for that. Okay. Any other questions? Thank you very much.